Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Trina, and here's her story. My brother Ollie, I hope this email finds you well. I call you brother because we are related due to the narcissistic abuse from our family of origin. Regrettably, Ollie, you're always going to have followers. Our abuse is so unique and specific that we can't relate to this. We can't relate this to everyone. Unfortunately, we are a special club. Those of us who have been victims of narcissistic abuse, especially by our family of origin, have been robbed of our natural birthright, the right to grow up in a safe and loving environment. I am the youngest of my mother's 4 children. We all have different fathers. Trina is a black female. There's a picture attached, so I know that off the bat. My mother's oldest son is 13 years my senior. Her second oldest son is 10 years my senior, and her daughter is 7 years my senior. You notice I don't call them my half-siblings, brother or sister. I consider them relatives, not family. There's a huge difference between the two. Mother was only married to her oldest daughter and my father. Her oldest daughter's father was the one she loved. He adopted her 2 oldest boys and provided well for them, even if it was illegal. My mother's cousin revealed to me that the family couldn't understand how she could have subjected her children to such a lifestyle. Her and her husband had a bad argument. He left for the day and never returned. His body was later found in upstate New York with a gunshot wound to the back of the head, and his body was burned. Christ. I don't know, has he illegally adopt? I mean, an illegal adoption? I mean, was there actually an adoption, or was he providing for them and saying that they were his 2 oldest boys? I don't know. Like, the term that you're saying, if it was illegal, I don't know what the process is. But that almost sounds like it's like it's something that was used as a guilt trip on your brothers. Like, I adopted you even though I'm committing a crime and it's illegal to do so, so be thankful. You know, it sounds like that type of control that usually goes down in the household of your typical queen bee. And you say you couldn't understand how she could be subjected her children to such a lifestyle. I'm not exactly sure what the lifestyle is. You didn't give any deets, so I'm assuming. I mean, I really don't know what to assume. What you mean by that, right there? I was partially raised by 2 narcissistic parents. I say partially because there's no way you can completely raise a child if you're a narcissist. Even as adults, we're, for a lack of a better word, fragmented. My parents divorced when I was 2. Tumultuous doesn't begin to describe this union. My father was actually 13 years my mother's junior, which is a big deal in the 70s. The word is he deceived her. Bull crap. Bull crap. He didn't deceive her. Look, your mother is probably like every other narcissistic queen bee who's black. When a black woman writes into me and writes about this mother, your mother's no different. Okay? Your mother puts all her value into who wants to sleep with her. That's how your mother, that's your mother's entire value, is what she looks like and the quality of the man she can get to sleep with her. Okay, and as you get older, the older the queen bee gets, the more they want to go for the younger guy. Because having this younger guy desire after them, it all feeds their ego. It all feeds their value, because that's the only value that these queen bees have, is who wants to have sex with them, what they look like, and usually the size of their booty. These women have been twerking. These women have been twerking since the 60s. My father was very physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive to my mother's children, including me. He used to kidnap me, which terrorized everyone. This was prior to 1980, when it became a federal offense to kidnap your child. Right, so your mother will put up with this dysfunction. This dysfunctional man. Why? Because he's 13 years younger. Okay, and he wants me. Not these younger women his age. Not women younger than him. He wants me. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's all that mattered to your mother. Too bad we can't choose our family. I've been raised by a family of rectums. Emotionally violent rectums. I remember my mother's rages. My first memory of her beating me, I was 8. When I say beat me, I mean as if I was a grown woman, as I have brought up time and time and time again. This is where the violence in the black community is learned. It's learned from the mother. It's learned from the mother, and usually the single mother. This is who produces these violent men. This is where they learn it from. They learn it from their mothers. The women who write in, the Nolas, the Calliants, have dealt with this mother. They know this mother. They know your mother. They know her viciousness. They know her brutality. They know the competition that their mothers have with them for life. How they have their sons run wild in their street, and their daughters too. When they're not competing with their daughters, they're turning them against each other or using them to fight other families of queen bees. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. When I say beat, I mean as if I was a grown woman. How do you beat a grown woman anyway? I mean, think about that. Think about how devalued you are. That is like, she beat me not like a child, but she beat me as if I was a grown woman, like you're supposed to beat any woman. Like any female should be beaten regardless of age. But I get your point. When you say beat, you mean as if you were a grown man. Because what would be the difference? Was she holding back? Would the beating been any different if you were a woman or a man? Is it any different if you're a woman or a man from her? No. The brutality in the violence is exactly the same. So she didn't beat you as if you were a grown woman. She beat you as if you were a grown man. Difference. Big difference. She beat with her fist. She threw me to the ground, kicked me, called me a whore, which tends to be the narcissist insult of choice when dealing with a young girl. Whore or bitch or her oldest daughter, golden child. Her oldest daughter, golden child, was sitting right there and did nothing. It's all about being a whore. Why? Because as I've told you time and time and time again, it's all about the vagina. It's all about competition over whose vagina is more valuable. Whore, bitch. Whore, bitch. You think you're better than me, bitch. Little whore. What she's saying is, you think you're going to steal my man? You think you're going to steal any man? It's going to want you over me. That's what it is. The last time she physically attacked me, I was 11. The school teacher asked me how I got a red eye. She burst a vessel in my eye. I told the teacher what happened. The principal pulled me in his office with the social worker. They explained they had to visit her. She would not get into any trouble and that the visit would be to help her. You and I know that was a turning point in my life. Being treated and spoken to in an undignified manner became the norm in my life. Then I became the scapegoat, black sheep, demonized child. Didn't matter that I was smart I was cursed for being smart. Honor roll, enrichment classes, and essay winner. This woman refused to sign my financial aid paperwork to go to community college. Community college? Well, you think you're better than her? You think you're better than the queen bee, Trina? College, this is all about looks and vagina and who wants to stick it in. College? Oh, you must really think you better than me. Who you think you are, heifer? Something like that? Because it's all about the competition. It's all about the competition with the queen bee. They destroy their daughters. They destroy their sons. They've destroyed the black community. With the help of that white liberal and that preacher that lets them know it's all okay. They are co-conspirators. This woman refused to sign my financial aid paperwork to go to community college. My guidance counselor paid for the application and was puzzled why the mother wouldn't sign the paperwork and provide her W-2 so that I could apply for financial aid. Probably because she was making too much for financial aid and she didn't want everybody in the world to know what a negligent piece of shit she was in regards to you. And listen, they don't want to accept this. They don't want to accept that the black mother hates her daughter. That this isn't about you going to school and bettering yourself. This is a competition over who's got the more valuable vagina. Her excuse was that Christian children shouldn't go to college as we are not part of this world. I told you that preacher was coming into this. That preacher puts things into that mother's head, excuses her dysfunctional behavior. She then in turn goes ahead and supports his dysfunctional church, his institution of failure. And there's one every 50 feet in every rundown urban neighborhood. They've been there forever. At some point, you got to figure, what's the common denominator in all of these rundown areas? Oh, these same churches, these institutions of failure, where the preacher doesn't even live in the community, but they ride in and out in their expensive sports cars and their Lexuses and Range Rovers on the backs of the money that who's giving them? These same queen bees, because that's who's going to these churches. And they run roughshod in the community all week, and then they go to the church and they sing it away. I knew that that church, that preacher was coming in here somewhere. I knew it. Her excuse was that Christian children shouldn't go to college as we are not part of this world. I wasn't the best child, but I wasn't the worst. When I graduated high school, I never smoked a cigarette and was still a virgin. My vice was speaking up to her, not respecting her, and not tolerating her hypocrisy, which made me her archenemy. I was given nasty looks for simply laughing. Mother became ill with liver cancer. No, she wasn't a drinker. Liver cancer runs in our family. At 22, I moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Ruskin, Florida to take care of her. All her other children remained in Atlanta. I took care of her for 2 years. I only had one friend, an older woman with 5 children of her own, Miss Lois. Mother became jealous of our relationship and deliberately created drama to put an end to that relationship. Interestingly, she did this at the end stage of her disease. Of course she did. Didn't want to see you miserable right to the end. Okay? And this is just another example. Your mother had done nothing but abuse you your entire life. But yet that Christian training, okay, of respect your mother or whatever it was, has you absolving her, okay, of 22 years of abuse, because this all fell when you were 22. And I understand, at 22, you don't have the knowledge that you have later on in life. So I kind of give you a pass. But she didn't deserve any of your kindness at that point. She had made her bed, let her lie in it. Where was the sister who was sitting there laughing while she was calling you a whore and a bitch? Why wasn't she there? We know the answer. Interestingly, she did this at the end stage of her disease, obviously to leave me alone and isolated upon her death. She was very ill, and the doctor told her that she could only shower with a shower chair, no tub bathing. She got in the tub anyway and began to scream for me to help her as I was sleeping. I asked her why did she get down in the tub when the doctor instructed her not to. I told her I couldn't get her out, but would call the fire department for assistance. She began to rage. I went to get her robe to cover herself. She snatched it, of course. Miracle of miracles, she got herself out of the tub. On their deathbed, they continue to terrorize you. I know you, and you asked me not to curse, if I could do this without cursing, and it's tough. Okay, but again, that's that training from that church, that dysfunctional church that is just as much to blame for your abuse as your mother is, because it enabled it. It enabled it. That preacher, that deacon, whatever you got there is what enables your mother's dysfunction. 100%. Miracle of miracles, she got herself out of the tub. She got on the phone with her other children, told them how abusive that I was, requested that they come to rescue her from me. Her daughter came and got her. She died not speaking to me. She died 6 weeks after she left. She died with a stranger. Her children left her in the care of a family friend while they went to work. Her daughter didn't even tell me that she died. I learned of her death from a family friend. Her daughter didn't want to speak to me at the funeral. I don't believe her ill treatment was because of my mother, but more so that she had to deal with her in her final days. I was discarded by my mother and her children. No, Trina. All your sister was doing, or her daughter, your half-sister, whatever, was doing, was what she was trained to do. To be obedient to your mother in her abuse of you, even to her death. Your mother would rather die alone with strangers. Would die alone with strangers just to see you isolated and to see you miserable. Just to see the cycle of abuse continue. That's how much she competes with you. That's where her level of competition is with you. She destroyed you. She destroyed her other daughter. She destroyed her 2 sons. That's what she does. All with the help of that preacher. All with the help of that church. That goes and absolves her of her dysfunction every Sunday. And she goes and gives 10%, 15, whatever that thief is taken from her, he'll take and drive off in his Range Rover to the suburbs, okay, sending his kids to private school on her money, on your mother's money. Also, he could tell her, yeah, you're good for another week. Go tear ass around the goddamn neighborhood. And most of the time, that preacher is, he's looking to compete for that vagina of your mother's. We all know what they're doing. We all know they're scandalous. They're going through the women in that church, and even now some of the boys in that church. We know what goes on. They see it. Understand who enabled your mother. Who enables the queen bee. And understand that training is still coming out and in you. I had breast cancer back. I had a breast cancer scare back in 2013. At the time, I was in San Jose de Acre, RD. It's the southern area of the Dominican Republic in the mountains near the Crucer de Bani. I was doing volunteer work there. My mother's daughter and I had an argument. She stopped speaking to me. Knowing it could be bad, she stopped speaking for years, not knowing how it turned out or anything. She started filling the role of my mother. Why, Ollie? That's what she was trained to do. That's how the legacy of the queen bee works. It carries on from daughter to generation to generation, destroying everything in its path. Your sister did what your mother trained her to do. That's why I told you a little earlier. Your mother on her deathbed told your sister, this continues with Trina. You have to carry on the legacy of abusing Trina. It's you. She's passing the baton. Almost cursed. Stop myself. Why, Ollie then had the audacity to reach out to me 5 years later asking if she could meet me for lunch, as she and her new husband would be in Florida as a high school friend of her had died. She wants to show off her new husband. Again, carrying on the legacy of her mother. She wants to show off her new husband. Look how valuable my vagina is. Look what I got. This is what goes on. This is what's going on. This is where the viciousness comes from. You think you're better than me, Trina. Who are you to go to college, Trina? You think you're better than me? This is a vagina competition. I met up with them, not for her, but for the husband. Whatever my brother-in-law had been fed, that man wasn't buying. He saw how my neighbors respected me and the way that I cared for myself. Of course, the visit was 2 hours and that was it. No apology for nothing. She never calls or texts, never sends emails. The email feels like our relationship, though. Cold and lacking in intimacy. Just like with your mother. I no longer answer this wretched witch's emails. Am I being unreasonable? No, you should cut her out of your life. You should have cut her out and all of them out of your life a long time ago. Okay, the cycle has to be broken. The cycle has to be broken of the queen bee because there's millions of them out there. They're all over the black community. Okay, they're everywhere. As are these churches that they go to in their community that are every 50 feet from each other, that they go and get themselves absolved of all their weekly dysfunction. To some usual crooked ass, deacon or preacher coming in his zoot suit and his expensive automobile, paid for you with your mother's money and the other black women's money, the other queen bee's money, so he can have a big house in the suburbs and a car and send his kids to private school. All to absolve her dysfunction. Cycle has to be broken. I just don't believe she communicates with her friends like that, Ollie. Mother's 2 sons have come to Tampa to visit their friends, but never reached out to me. Ollie, I no longer care. I wish them no harm, but I can't give emotional energy to them, and you shouldn't. I'm assuming they discarded me for the same reason my mother discarded me. No narcissistic supply from me and fought against the grain. Do you have a take on that? They all collectively worked to make my life miserable. FYI, my father was out of the picture by age 12. And that's what happens. Look, I told you earlier in the video, your sisters have been destroyed by your mother. Your brothers have been destroyed by your mother. They've been destroyed. Why they're doing what they're doing is because it's what they've been trained to do. They have been trained to see you as an enemy, they've been trained to see you as someone who thinks they're better. Keep Trina from thinking she's better than everyone else. See, what your brothers are doing is all they're doing is defending the honor of your mother's vagina. That's it. That's it. That's what it's about. You're not going to be a better version of your mother. She chose your sister to be a different version of her. But the queen bee will never. The black sheep is always the child that would be the better version. That they can have. When you're a scapegoat, you are never acknowledged consistently. Our good accomplishments are always minimized or ignored. My belief is it's jealousy. I received no support or congrats when I earned my degree, and I have 2. No relative came to my housewarming party, and the list goes on. Because again, in the black community, that's, you think you're better than me. Let's just say, you're acting white. What do you think you're white now? You acting white? You think you're better than me? That's the white man. They've been trained to act like it's all about a good time and a party. Otherwise, you think you're better than me. Something negative they enjoy and remember will make sure you will never forget. Ollie, I've seen a documentary on men such as Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and the Boston Strangler. All of these men in their evil still had family members that loved them. There is no way anyone can convince me that you, me, or anyone else can match the evil these men had visited on society. Yet, their family of origin still had affection for them and did not discard them. I have brought that point up I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times. With me, it's the one that got me was Casey Anthony, who killed her child, okay? Said she didn't know what happened. Then tried to blame her father and blame her parents for it. And they stood behind her the entire time in court. That's a true and sick demented. I mean, that's... What a lack of appreciation our families have shown for the family arrangement which God created. He must be saddened when he sees it as this behavior is truly demonic and unappreciative. Hope that statement hasn't weirded you or your viewers out, but I'm speaking my truth. I attach my picture, but I don't want to share it. I'm 47 years old and feel like I look as if I'm 60 due to the hard life, Ollie. That's what abuse can cause, as it has with me. My current life is a good one. My health is good. My awareness is good. My spirituality is good, and I have done a very good job. I am thankful. Doesn't mean the pain doesn't come knocking every now and again. Abuse from the relatives, not to be confused with family, has been hard on me, as no doubt has been the case for most of your viewers. By the way, you were right when you said, look at the obituary. Sorry, this is okay, and there's a PS. PS. My mother used to tell me several times she contemplated getting an abortion, as she felt getting rid of me would sever her ties with my father. I was 8 when she first told me that. Did your folks make similar invalidating remarks to you? Just curious. They've all made, like, the point is of the narcissist is to always make you feel like you could be erased, like you're lucky to be here because you could have been discarded just like that, and I can discard you just like that. You have to understand, Trina, again, who enabled your mother? Who enables your mother? The excuses she uses, where it comes from. Again, the queen bee is always about who wants to sleep with them. The competition is what it's all about. That's all they care about. School? You think you're better than the narcissistic queen bee, Trina? Who is you? Come on. Cut them all out. You don't need them, and they have been trained to defend your mother's vagina till the very end. Till the very end. The queen bees, worker bees, will defend her vagina till the very end, even after her death. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and story, Trina. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. And trust me, Google and YouTube are going to make that happen sooner or later. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to follow me on the library backup app as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care, everybody.